Welcome back to the channel. Today, everybody, is a very special day because we finally got the reveal of the Final Fantasy Commander decks coming to Magic the Gathering in June. If you guys haven't been following on the channel, I am so excited for this set. As a huge fan of Final Fantasy, one of the reasons why I got into Magic the Gathering is because they revealed a set of Final Fantasy, and today, they revealed the decks. So let's go through it. Well, actually, I'm lying. They didn't reveal the decks. They revealed the commanders. So, as you guys can see right over here, the first picture they showed is Cloud, the ex-soldier, and then a couple other pictures. We're going to go through them all. But the way they explained it, we are getting 4 commander decks of Final Fantasy in June. Each one is themed around a specific game. So, we're getting one deck on Final Fantasy 6, one on Final Fantasy 7, 10 and 14, with each of them having their main commander. So let's go through one by one. Also, if you're new, welcome, subscribe to the channel, comment down below if you're excited or not excited about this set. Give the video a thumbs up, it helps the algorithm. Now let's get into it. So first one up is Terra from Final Fantasy 6. So she's going to be the main commander here, Herald of Hope. Her colors are going to be black, white, and red. Legendary creature, human, wizard, warrior. 3/3, and I love that the Chocobo is the logo for this. That is fantastic in my opinion. She has the ability of Trance, which I don't know if that's new or not. You'll have to let me know. At the beginning of combat on your turn, mill 2 cards, and then she gains flying until the end of turn. Pretty simple, love it. Whenever Terra deals combat damage to a player, you may spend 2 mana. When you do, return a target creature card with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. That is awesome. I really love this ability. And again, this is the Final Fantasy 6 set. So very excited for that. One of my favorite games out there. Then we've got probably the one that most people are going to be most excited for, including myself, Cloud from Final Fantasy 7. He's going to be a 2 colorless, red, green, and white human soldier mercenary. Again, cute little chocobo here. He has haste. He's a 4/4. When he enters, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to it. And whenever he attacks, you draw a card for each equipped attacking creature you control. Then, if Cloud has power 7 or greater, create 2 treasure tokens. Seems like a pretty complex combo, but I'm excited to give this one a shot. And again, one of my favorite games of all time, Final Fantasy VII, the original, the remake, and rebirth, and I can't wait for whichever is coming up next. Then we've got Tidus, is how I call him, but I found out it's actually Tidus, and I don't like that because it sounds close to something else. I'm going to keep calling him Tidus, but apparently that's not how you officially say his name. Yuna's Guardian. He's going to be a green, white, and blue human warrior. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may move a counter from a target creature you control onto a second target creature you control, and then he has the ability of Cheer, which again, don't know if it's a new one or not. Whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and proliferate. Do this only once each turn. And the last one, by the way, Final Fantasy X, one of my other favorite games of all time. The last one is Y'Shtola. I think I had said that right, from Final Fantasy XIV. This is the MMO one, so the online one. I actually haven't played this one much. I am much more of the single-player Final Fantasy one. But next character here, Knight's Blessed. She is a 1 colorless, a white, a blue, and a black cat warlock. Vigilance. So that means she can attack without tapping. I know that one. At the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, so that would be like instants, sorceries, or whatever, with mana value 3 or greater, she deals 2 damage to every opponent and you gain 2 life. So those are the 4 main commanders, and we actually have the cover of the boxes here, which a really special thing here. I think they've done this before, but this is the first time since I have started playing Magic, which again, I started with Bloom Barrel. We've got the decks over here. So the packaging here, you can see Revival Trance is the Final Fantasy VI set with the 3 colors. Then we've got Cloud set with Limit Break as the name. Love that. With, again, 3 colors. Then we've got Tidus. I'm going to continue calling him that. 3 colors as well with Counter Blitz. And the last one, Scions and Spellcraft, also 3 colors. So all of the decks for Final Fantasy are going to be 3-color decks. And then, this is the really special one, we're actually getting Collector's Edition of every single one, which means that each of these Commander decks, you can buy the original version, which is basically what you get now. Your Commander will be in foil, and the rest of your cards are basic. Or if you get the Collector's Edition, the whole deck of 100 cards is foil. So again, if you're a fan of the foil and you really want to get the fancy version of it, you will be able to get each one of them in their collector's edition, which I may have to do myself just because of how much of a big fan I am of Final Fantasy. So those are the new sets coming out. I am so excited. June can't come soon enough. We already got Aether Drift, which was one of the main set that came out this weekend. This weekend's the official launch. In April, I think we're getting Dragonstorm, which is the second set of the year. And then the third set is going to be in June, which is Final Fantasy. So we do have one more full set of Magic before Final Fantasy. But this is the big one, in my opinion. That's obviously their Universe Beyond. It is going to be standard legal. It's going to be legal everywhere. So they now don't have them separated. It's going to fit into everything. Now, it's not just a reveal of the Commander decks. We actually have an article where they have some information about about everything. So let's read through it here. I haven't actually read the article in full. So let's go through it and see if anything else sounds interesting here. Even if you don't play... Oh, where's my mouse? There it is. Even if you don't play Magic the Gathering, you've probably caught wind of its numerous video game crossovers in recent years, including Fallout, Tomb Raider, I didn't know about that one, and Assassin's Creed. But today we've got an exclusive first look at one of the most exciting ones yet, Final Fantasy. And not just one Final Fantasy, from Terra to Y'Shtola. 4 different mainline games are represented across the pre-constructed Commander decks headlining the set. Can't wait for that. So that means that the Final Fantasy VII set is probably going to have Tifa, Aerith, Barret, Red 13, maybe a Sephiroth in there too, and so on and so forth with all the other ones. Flip through we just looked at the pictures here, and then let's see why they picked them. So let's jump right into it here. Set to launch this June, Magic's Final Fantasy crossover will be fully draftable, standard legal set accompanied by 4 pre-constructed decks in the gallery above. Each of those include 100 cards made up of both reprints of existing cards with new Final Fantasy art and brand new cards designed with Magic's most popular format, Commander, in mind. And while Commander precons are always themed around certain characters, colors, or strategies, the twist with these is that each one is built around a single Final Fantasy game, specifically 6, 7, 10, and 14. I think that's a really good way to start here. I definitely think that those are some of the most popular ones, 14 being the MMO one that everyone is still playing, and then 6, 7 are definitely up there. Most people who are Final Fantasy fans will pick one of those two as the best one of all time, and 10 is another really, really fantastic one. I am slowly over time still falling. I think Final Fantasy 16 is probably going to end up being up there as well one day. 12 is another really good one. 9 is probably going to be there, so hopefully we get cards from those sets as well. Final Fantasy games are so rich with flavor, beloved characters, and unique settings that choosing a single game as a theme provided more than enough material to design a full deck of cards around, says the senior game designer Daniel Holt, who is the commander lead for the set. Okay, cool. Approaching each deck as a single game also provided the opportunity to dive deep into the lore of each, capturing even more beloved moments from across the game's storyline that we may not have been able to achieve otherwise. Man, I can't wait to see what the lands are now that I think about it. There are so many great locations, right? I'm going to guess the mountains for 7 is going to be like Cosmo Canyon and all that. Oh, man. So excited for this. Let's see here. The team decided on these 4 Final Fantasy games based on a balance of what they wanted for the gameplay of each deck and how well known each story was overall. Holt says that while Final Fantasy 7 and 14 were clearer picks, 6 and 10 took more discussions to arrive at. Interesting. I guess they're just a bit older, right? Like 7 and 14 are more modern, especially with the remakes and all that too. Took more. Okay. But were chosen partially because they were favorites among the team. This was one of those products where everyone in the building was invested in each state of development, as we have so many passionate Final Fantasy fans in the building. That is really cool to hear, that there's such a big love for Final Fantasy from the creators, that they're probably, this set is probably going to be a really good set considering how much love Final Fantasy has from the team. Even within those picks, there are some decisions you have to make about direction. For instance, Final Fantasy VII's remake trilogy has been running alongside the development of this Magic set. So is its Commander precon telling the story of the original, or its reality-bending reimagining? Dylan Devaney, principal game designer, lead says you'll see a bit of both throughout the deck's art, but the story itself will follow the 1997 classic. Okay, that's awesome. That's a great call, in my opinion. Core approach to Final Fantasy VII was to capture the original PS1 game's narrative while using Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth's modern aesthetics to push the fidelity of each character design, story moment, and memorable location to the next level. With that in mind, if a scene existed in both games, we had our choice of showing it as the original game did, how the modern version interpreted it, or a unique fusion of both. Hopefully this deck feels familiar and nostalgic to players of both the original game and the modern series. Oh man, they're speaking my language. I love this. Speaking of nostalgia, Final Fantasy VI is a trickier nut to crack in some ways, as it lacks the more modern art references the other 3 games can provide. They wanted to stick close to what fans would expect from its pixel art sprites and limited concept art, while also expanding upon them. I mean, as long as we get the villain, what's his name, Kefka? God, I can't wait. Character design should feel the way how you remember them, despite being a hybridization of many different references and new ideas. To help accomplish that, Wizards of the Coast even consulted directly with the Final Fantasy VI team as they updated these characters to the standards needed for Magic art. That's awesome. Developed a workflow that asked concept artists and card artists to pull hallmark character designs from Yoshitaka Amano's original and legendary concept art. Man, they are going all out. That's awesome. With the original and the remasters character portraits to synthesize the most consistent elements of each character's design into something new. Also encourage our artists to punch up finer details and explore, I'm going to guess, explore elements where they thought they could push fabrics, pattern, textures, etc. Then we would meet with the Final Fantasy VI review team, and they would give us feedback on what core elements they wanted to preserve and what new elements they were excited about. Man, that's insane. That's good for them on the art side of it. They had the 4 games decided, but when it comes to Commander, that's only half the equation. Wizards of the Coast also needed to figure out which characters would lead each deck. Cloud may be the obvious pick for 7, but Holt tells me the others involve some brainstorming. Celeste was considered for 6 since the deck is focused around the world of Ruin and the second half of that game, while Yuna was considered for 10 as a fan favorite, but they went with Tidus. Decided to stick with lead characters on those. And Final Fantasy XIV is an MMO, which presented its own problem. Yeah, I'm curious how they came up with that character, because again, I don't know much about 14, so I can't comment. Let's see. For Y'Shtola, I hope I'm saying that right, came down to a mix of popularity of the characters as well as being a spellcaster. Her story and character development offered a wide range of abilities and moments to pull from to lead the deck. Going on to say this deck represents her specifically during her Shadowbringers arc. Okay, cool. I think that's one of the expansions. They did explore the concept of making a warrior of light commander players can make their own in some fashion. Oh, interesting. Those ideas have had some pretty in-depth execution, and that your own personal hero still has plenty of moments in this deck, even without being at the helm. That's cool. Comes a question of figuring out how to fit an entire video game story, characters, and themes into a single deck, and the carefully balanced restrictions of Magic's 5 colors. Building these decks called for us to decide color identity for the chosen game itself, but also the gameplay we desired for them. Interesting. Going on to point out that it's no mistake, all 4 include white for both theming, and it helped cover the wide range of heroes we wanted to include in each deck. Interesting. I actually didn't notice that. So they all have white in their commanders. The deck is for 6 is centered on the latter half of the game. As such, it's essentially all about well, no spoilers, but rebuilding your party by bringing, it's a 30-year-old game. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VI, you're missing out. Go play it. Rebuilding your party by bringing other creatures back from your graveyard. For 7, Cloud wielding a big sword lines up nicely with the equipment strategies of a white-red magic deck. But Holt says that adding green to the mix let us tie in the Power Matters card and cards that references the planet and the life stream. Awesome. Tidus's ability to pass counters around might lead... Oh, yeah, like Blitzball. Yeah, okay, there it is. It's all about Blitzball. I forgot about that. So passing it around. That's cool. Classic white, blue, green strategy actually primarily came from the idea of that game's sphere grid. Oh, that's cool. Man, they went all out for that. As a big Final Fantasy nerd, this is really all speaking to me. I'd love for you guys to tell me in the comment how you feel about this set and what's going on here. Sorry, I skipped here. Lean on into non-creature spellcasting theme while also including the characters they wanted to. Okay, cool. Last but not least, Commander might be all about your leader, but RPGs are often about your party as a whole, and Wizards of the Coast won't leave the supporting cast of these games hanging. Final Fantasy games are full of lovable and villainous characters, Sephiroth, and getting them in these decks was very important. While I can't talk specifics on who else is included in each deck or their abilities just yet, fans can expect to see some of their favorite characters in the 99 of each deck as new legendary creatures and captured in action on other exciting spells. Magic's Final Fantasy set is going to release on June 13th. Cannot wait. And if you don't see your personal favorite Final Fantasy game or character here, or even if you do, don't worry. Holt assures me that all 16 of the mainline games will have their moments to shine in the accompanying products. Fuck yes. So that means that collectors, oh man, I'm going to spend so much money on this set. That's not good for me. Returning to the same territory as the Warhammer 40k Commander decks from 2022, all 4 of these decks will be available in both a regular version, the MSRP being $70 US, and a collector's edition for $150 US, the latter of which will feature all 100 of the cards in each deck in a special Surge foil treatment. Wow. Oh, is there more? Oh my god, this keeps going. All right, let's keep it going, everybody. The video's longer than I expected. Why did you decide to build each commander deck around a whole game this time? Okay. Final Fantasy games are so rich with flavor. This is all from IGN, by the way. It's an exclusive. Please go read it if you want to. Rich with flavor, beloved characters, and unique settings that choosing a single game as a theme provided more than enough material to design a full deck of cards around. Approaching each deck as a single game also provided the opportunity to dive deep into the lore of each, capturing even more beloved moments from across the game's storyline that we may not have been able to achieve otherwise. How did you land on these 4 games? Okay, I think these are just like repeating what we read above, right? So let me just see if there's something here. Do we expect reprint art lands within each deck to also be tied to each game? Absolutely. Can you talk a bit about your approach to Magic's color identities? He just read it, so okay. So I think this is just like a recap of the Q&A. How did you fall on Y'Shtola? We just read that. Was using the Warrior of Light as okay. Yes, bring that up. 7, 10, and 14 have plenty of modern references when it comes to yeah. Okay. This is all just a Q&A, but we kind of just got the recap above. Conversely, let me just make sure we're not missing anything. Recent remake, yeah, we just kind of talked about it. I love these box covers; they're very cool. It's all about passing counters around like a ball. Did you know this was going to be a counter deck already, or did counters come from exploring Blitzball as a concept? It's all about your leader, RPG, yeah, okay. Assume that popular characters like Cloud's going to be same way Frodo. I think it's safe to say you'll see some characters making multiple appearances in the products, and each is appealing to different kinds of players. With the ones we see here, they are all commander sized, meaning they are aimed to be exciting in the commander format, both in and out of the precon. All the legends in these decks have a unified goal of working together within their deck's team, and it's fun building cards like this to have that creative team synergy. Whether that's, say, interacting with counters in Final Fantasy X or playing with the graveyard in Final Fantasy VI. On the other hand, legends in the main set can be designed around the character independently of other cards to spark new archetypes of decks. Okay, cool. Well, there you go, everybody. Final Fantasy coming in June. I think I made a video saying that Marvel is probably my top most excited. Now seeing the cards, seeing this, I think this is now taken over as my most anticipated set of Magic the Gathering for the year. But I'd love for you guys to tell me, are you excited, not excited? Again, if you're new, subscribe because we got a bunch more Magic content coming up as well. Tell me everything in the comments. I'm going to read all of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Get hyped for Final Fantasy in June. Take care. Bye-bye.